Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you do not miss any video lesson from RAU'S.
Hello and welcome to another session of Daily Prelims Practice. Here we take up MCQs based on important news that have been featured in the Indian Express and the Hindu newspaper. The topics that we are going to take up today are displayed on the screen. Let us now begin the discussion.
Hello students, there is an announcement for you regarding the optional classes which we at RAU'S IAS are starting at Bengaluru and New Delhi Center. The optional paper of Public Administration will be taken up by Anubhav Sharma sir at the Bengaluru campus on 26 September from 3:30 pm. For the history optional subject, orientation class at the Bengaluru campus will be taken up by Parampreet Singh sir on 27th of September from 3:30 pm. And the orientation for geography as an optional subject will be taken up by Indrajit Bariyar sir on 27th September from 6 pm. So these three subjects will be taken up at Bengaluru Center. Shobik Sen sir will take up the optional classes for psychology optional at New Delhi on 28th of September from 3:30 pm. And this will be followed up by the orientation class of sociology by Dr. Surendra Singh sir on 28th of September from 6 pm onwards. On 29th September, the orientation class will be taken up for PSIR optional by Rahul Puri sir from 3:30 pm. Whereas on the same day, that is on 29th September from 6 pm onwards, orientation classes for the history optional will be taken up by Kritika ma'am and Mathimaran Raju sir. Next, on 30th of September, the orientation class for public administration will be taken up by Dr. V.K. Kaushik sir from 3:30 pm, which will be followed up by the orientation class for geography optional at New Delhi campus from 6 pm on 30th of September by Vineet Thaplu sir. Now these orientation classes will be conducted both online and also in the offline mode. And these classes you can interact with your teachers about the optional subjects, the nature of questions asked, and also the syllabus provided by UPSC.
So the first question that we are going to take up today is based on this picture which featured on page 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and this picture is related to a flower named Neelakurinji. As we have seen, UPSC has been asking questions related to biodiversity and various important species which are in news. Like in 2019, it asked a question based on Himalayan nettle. So let's take up today's question. Question is, with reference to Neelakurinji flower, consider the following statements. Statement 1. These are blue-colored flowers which blossoms only once in 12 years. This statement is correct, as this flower belongs to genus Strobilanthes, which has an unusual blooming cycle varying from 0 to 16 years. In this, Kurinji flower blooms only once in 12 years. So statement 1 is correct. Second statement is, the Kurinji plant is endemic to Nilgiri Hills in Western Ghats only. This is incorrect, as these plants are also found in Shevaroy Hills of the Eastern Ghats as well as in Bellary district of Karnataka. The third statement is correct, which reads as, the Palyar tribal community uses the flowering periodicity of this plant to calculate their age. So correct answer would be 1 and 3 only. The next question is based on this news which featured on page 12 of the Hindu newspaper, which talks about a senior advocate declining the offer from the Union government to be the next Attorney General of India. As we all know, UPSC has been asking questions related to constitutional posts and constitutional offices in general, and it has asked questions specifically based on Attorney General and the Solicitor General in CSE 2022. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. Question is, with reference to Attorney General for India, consider the following statements. Statement 1. A person who is qualified to be appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court can be appointed as AG. This statement is correct, as Article 76 provides for Office of Attorney General for India. And it says that the Attorney General is appointed by the President, and he must be a person who is qualified to be appointed a judge of the Supreme Court. Second statement is the term of office of the AG is not fixed by the Constitution. This statement is again correct, as the term of office of the AG is not fixed by the Constitution and he holds office during the pleasure of President. The third statement says a person who is appointed as AG is absolutely debarred from private legal practice under any circumstances. This statement is incorrect, as he does not fall in the category of government servant and he is not barred from private legal practice. However, AG requires prior government permission in certain cases. For example, in case of defending an accused in criminal proceeding. So as the question demands to find correct statements, our answer would be A, that is 1 and 2 only. The next question is based on the news which relates to the recent excavation by Archaeological Survey of India near Chennai. UPSC has been asking questions based on ancient art and culture and its significance. As in 2022, UPSC asked question based on Sangam literature. So let's take up today's practice MCQ. Question is, with reference to Natham Medu excavation site, consider following statements. It belongs to the megalithic site of Tamil Nadu. This statement is incorrect, as this site belongs to Mesolithic period. Second statement says evidence proves that site had trade links with Roman Empire. This is correct, as Roman amphora shards and glass beads have been found which establish that this site had trade links with Roman Empire. Third statement is Sangam age ceramics artifacts were found on this site. This is also a correct statement, as hand axe, scrapers, cleavers and choppers of Sangam era have been found in this excavation. So, question is demanding to identify the correct statements. So, our answer would be B, that is 2 and 3 only. So, the next question draws inspiration from this news, in which Punjab governor agrees to the demand of ruling party to summon a special session of assembly. UPSC has been asking questions related to Office of Governor. As we can see, in 2018, UPSC has asked question based on constitutional provision related to the Office of Governor. So let's take up today's MCQ based on Office of Governor. Question is, consider the following statements with reference to the Constitution of India, and you have to identify the correct statements. First statement is, the governor from time to time summons the house or each house of the legislature of the state to meet at such time and place as he thinks fit. This statement is correct, as in exercise of his legislative power under Article 174 subclause 1, it is the governor who can summon the house of state legislature. Second statement says, the governor may dissolve the legislative assembly, but its prorogation is carried out by the speaker of the state legislative assembly, which is incorrect, as in exercise of his power under Article 174 subclause 2, it is governor who can dissolve or prorogue the house or the state legislative assembly. Statement third says that it is duty of the governor to communicate to the chief minister of the state all decisions of the council of ministers relating to the administration of the affairs of the states and proposals for legislation. This statement is incorrect, as under Article 167 it is chief minister who has the responsibility to communicate to governor and not the vice versa. So, our answer would be D, that is 1 only. Our next question would be based on this news, which talks about midday meal related food poisoning and findings of CAG audit report regarding the same. Questions based on flagship government schemes have been recurring theme of civil services preliminary examination. Like in civil services 2018 examination, there was a question based on Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So let's take up today's practice MCQ, which is with reference to Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, that is PM Poshan scheme, consider the following statements. Statement 1. The primary objective of the scheme is to improve the nutritional status of children studying in class 1 to 5th in eligible schools. This statement is incorrect. Target is to cover children from class 1st till 8th. Now the second statement is central government has requested state governments and union territory administrations to explore the possibility of introducing millets under this scheme, preferably in the districts where eating millets is a culturally accepted food habit. Now this statement is correct, as government has asked state governments as well as union territory administration to include millet based food menu as well as organizing cooking competitions to popularize millet based dietary habits. Let's take up the next question, which is based on the article that featured in Indian Express. This article discusses the struggle of RBI in achieving inflation targets as well as its increasing dependence on the government for fulfilling its mandate. As you can see, UPSC has been asking question based on RBI and its mandate, as in CSC 2017. It has asked a question based on Monetary Policy Committee. So let's take up today's question. Question is, with respect to inflation targeting framework in India, consider the following statements. Statement 1. The inflation targeting framework has been provided statutory recognition under the RBI Act 1934. This statement is correct, as after the recommendation of Urjit Patel Committee, in May 2016, the RBI Act 1934 was amended to provide a statutory basis for the implementation of the flexible inflation targeting framework. Second statement says, the inflation targets are specified in terms of consumer price index. Now this statement is again correct, as under RBI Act 1934, the central government in consultation with the RBI determines the inflation target in terms of consumer price index once in 5 years and notifies it in the official gazette. As of now, the RBI is required to maintain CPI rate of inflation between 2 to 6% and ideally at 4%. Now statement 3 says that if the RBI fails to meet the inflation target, it is required to submit report to the government. Now this statement is again correct, as the central government has notified that if the RBI is unable to maintain the inflation within the target for 3 consecutive quarters, then it should submit a report to the central government explaining the reason for the failure to achieve the inflation target. So our question is to identify the correct statement. So our answer would be D, that is 1, 2 and 3. So our next question is based on this article which featured in the Indian Express. This article discusses impact of the latest interest rate hike by the US Federal Reserve and by the Swiss Central Bank. UPSC has been asking questions based on global economic developments and their impact on Indian economy. As you can see here that in CSC 2021, it has asked question related to Indian government's bond yields. As you can see, it has asked question in 2021 related to factor that can influence Indian government bond yields. So let's take up today's question. The question is, in which among the following ways does the rate hike by US Federal Bank impact Indian economy? First, higher FPI outflows. First, higher foreign portfolio outflows. Second, rupee depreciation. Third, decrease in bond yields. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Now, increase in rate of interest by US Federal Bank will surely attract portfolio investors to pull out their money. So, it will result into higher FPI outflows, which in turn will result into further rupee depreciation. Now, this increase in rate by Federal Bank of US will result into lower demand for government securities in India, which will result into decrease in government security prices. Now, there is an inverse relation between government security prices and bond yields. So, bond yield would increase. So, third statement is incorrect. So, our option would be B, that is 1 and 2 only. So, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more updates.